right, congratulations on the new album, How You Like Me Now.
Doing real well.
Good. And that's doing really well at CMT right now, #1 requested video. And
Yeah.
just want to talk to you about the album in general right now. Basically, since we're in New Orleans, there's a track on there called New Orleans. What's that all about?
Well, I don't, I usually take a song or two outside. I write most of my things, and this is one of those songs that I needed another story song, and I heard this as an outside song that I didn't write. And so when I was listening to outside songs, I heard this, and it was a great story song, and so I put it on the album. But there's not much more to it than that. It's ironic we're in New Orleans today. I've been touring for 7 years, and we've never had to come to New Orleans, so it's neat that we're here today and that's on the album. But it was just an outside song that was a great story.
Great. The album marks a new record label for you.
Yeah.
And how did that relationship come about?
Great. Well, my producer is the president, and he's been my producer. He independently produced my last 2 or 3 albums when I was on Mercury. His name's James Stroud, and he's like a brother to me and a tremendous supporter of what I do and believer. And being the president of DreamWorks and having that DreamWorks power was a great spot for me to go. I had 9, when I left Mercury, I had 9 become free agent. I did 9 interviews in 3 days with record labels to see where I was going to land, and it was really never even a question. They had everything to offer, and it felt like home to me, and so they're showing what they got now. We're selling as many records as I ever have, and having a lot of success. So it's great.
Seems the success is carried over. Great. I understand that the title song was written quite some time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you wait so long to record it?
Well, I actually recorded it prior to this album. It's been recorded in a can for a while. I just never could get eye to eye with the big A&R department over there where it was.
So it's such a tremendous hit right now.
Well, some people can't hear a 747 land in their backyard, and they didn't hear this one land on top of them. And sometimes you as gut instinct what your fans want to hear. And I wrote this song like in 96, 95, and it laid around for 5 years here. So it's that kind of a song that's an impact that you look for on every album, and they never would let me release it or record it, or it got kicked back, or what I usually hear is I don't hear it. They'll say, well, we don't hear it like you hear it as being a hit. So
it was a hit when I first heard it. I thought, wow, that's a great tune.
Well, you won't ever get run over by the train then.
There you go. Do past successes put undue pressure on you when it comes time to write new material?
I guess not after 6 or 7 albums, but I've done 7 albums. It's down to kind of what I'm writing now is what's going to be on the next album. I don't. That's my stable of horses. I compare it to having a racehorse farm, and you have your own mares that have your own horses that are going to run at the track, and where everybody else goes in and buys the nicest horses and runs them. That's comparable to a artist going to Nashville and picking a song up at a publishing house. See, I raise my own little deals, and whatever I've got as my crop's what I'm going to run next year, and it's more rewarding to me to compete against those kind of horses with my own homegrown stock. And so first, second, third, fourth album right in there was pressure to I had a big hit which should have been a cowboy right off the bat. So album 2, I had to try to write something that big, and you just can't write those big impact songs every time and expect them. It's not up to me. It's up to the audience whether they're big smashes or not. So there's pressure there to succeed, but as far as writing goes, no, you just do what you do and hope for the best.
Your latest album has quite a few collaborations with Chuck Cannon, someone you worked with extensively with in the past. Has your writing relationship with him changed throughout the years?
I don't think so. I think it started off strong. The irony of this whole deal is we've had Dream Walking, Me Too, a song called Tired, and about 5 album cuts we wrote together. So in 5 years of writing, we probably wrote 15 songs. I've cut 11 of them. 2 or 3 of them have gone #1. 2 of them have gone top 10. And then we had a outside cut on a guy named Shane Miner, had a song called Slave to the Habit that we wrote that was a top 10 song. But the irony of this whole deal is we wrote How You Like Me Now first. The first song we ever wrote was How You Like Me Now, and it has said and endured and watched all these other records go #1, and now it's out, headed for #1. So nothing's really changed our relationship. He just, we maybe can know each other well enough to be able to criticize each other's work a little better constructively, but nah, it's just like brothers, man.
That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Does working with collaborators as much as you do create a challenge when you go back to writing alone, or vice versa?
No, I've always wrote alone. I write alone all the time. So the reason that I started using collaborators in the first album didn't have any collaborators on it at all, but I had 25 years to write my first album, So I compiled my stuff, my top drawer stuff for 25 years, or whatever, when I started. From the time I was a kid to I got my record deal, I had that whole life to get ready for it. And the second album, I only had a year and a half to get ready. So you can only write so much stuff on your own with the schedule you're under. And so I had to search around and find somebody I could trust to write with. But I trust very few people when I'm dealing with my writing. So I only have 2 or 3 guys that I really dig in with. So I don't. I'm always writing. If I could take off 3 years, I could write the whole album by myself.
Gotcha. Yeah. Most fans seem to feel that songwriters' lyrics offer insight into their personal lives. And sometimes they walk away from a song feeling like they know about your private lives.
I'd be divorced and in jail if that was
right. How much of your real self do you reveal in your songs?
I think in love songs, I think it's a license to say things. The secret to making the perfect love song is saying something that a girl wants to hear but that a guy will never say. And by being a writer, you're licensed to say that. The guys are just so bold that they're just not gonna. They won't even hardly say "I love you" over telephone for years to their wife because their buddies are standing around the pool hall. They won't say it. She'll say it. He'll say, "Me too." He won't say. She'll say, "I love you," and he'll go, "Yeah, okay, I'll be there in a little bit." He won't commit in front of his friends.
Won't break down.
And then it's on the other side, he will commit to her, but then there's still another level he's got to reach where he won't say certain things, won't do certain things. He won't cross that line and allow himself to be that vulnerable. And as a writer, you can go ahead and do that and not be looked upon as a wuss. You know what I mean? You're still. It could be you. It doesn't have to be you. It's just you have this open license to write anything you want to write. So it's that way in everything I write. But love songs, it particularly shows a side of your vulnerable. It shows your vulnerable side more than you would ever expose in real life.
Gotcha. Interesting. Back in '97, you did a duet with Sting. And it's a remake of "I'm So Happy I Can't Stop Crying." Great tune. Quite unlikely pairing that made this project very special. My question is, are there any plans to do a duet in that same vein in the future?
I like working once in a while with people. I did a great track with the Beach Boys tribute. I did getting to work with Sting was a nice feather in your hat. Sometimes those things come along and they work, and sometimes they don't. So it's too bad that this industry we're in is not full of all, completely full of good people, because a lot of people let this industry consume them, and they change, their personality changes, and they get hard to work with. And I have no time for those people whatsoever. So I'm always open to do things and listen. Ever since the Sting project, I've put everything on hold just due to I'd done so much of that so quick. I did a deal with me and Troy Aikman did a deal for the NFL. Me and Chris Ledoux did a deal for his country cowboy box set. Me and Sting did that Happy Divorce song. You know, there's so much that happened there to me pretty quick that I just kind of stepped back for a minute and went, wait a minute, now I need to concentrate more on me. But, you know, if something great came along, like you know, if you was to do a duet with Mariah Carey or something, you know, big power, where you could show your vocal off or something, you might do that. But, you know, I'm just kind of doing my deal right now.
Gotcha. I know that Roger Miller and Billy Joel and Jimmy Buffett are some of your biggest influences on you and your music. Do you still glean inspiration from, say, Roger Miller's music?
He will always be an inspiration to me. I consider Roger Miller to be a genius. So he's the only guy he had unfortunately passed on before I got to Nashville. He died at a very young age and was already gone. He was a cat I'd love to sit down and chatted with. People followed him around town for inspiration and stuff. He was unbelievable and turned a phrase better than anybody that you have ever read or heard from. And yeah, I mean, all I have to do is drag out that Roger Miller box set, put it in my vehicle, taking a trip, and listen to about 65 things in a row, and it'll make you want to just pull over and start writing songs, because it's so inspiring to hear the world looked upon from a different curve or a different angle, and he's the best at doing it.
Very cool. I've been reading articles, particularly in country.com, where you were spoken extensively about the business part of making music. How conscious are you of a song's commercial potential when you are actually writing it? Does it come to mind?
You know, the only thing that happens is when you're done with a song. I was talking with a guy on the bus the other day, and he said, when you wrote Get You Some, he's talking to me, he said, when you wrote Get You Some, you come up, and it's a little song I wrote, and it has a line in there. First turn on it, it says, you got to get you some love. And then when the second turns around, it goes, got to get you some money, you know. And then it says, when you get love and you get money and you got everything you want, and you ain't, you know, the hugging and kissing's not happening, you got to get you some what? And I put, you know, you got to go get you some, you know. And I was going to leave it like that, and everybody goes, well, they'll never play that on radio. You know, you can't say that, you know. And I'm going, why? Well, then, you know, so I said, okay, well, fine, we'll just leave it, and it'll just be something I wrote for fun. It'll just be me exercising my skill. And everybody loved it, you know. So I went in and played it for my producer, and he said he was just jumping all over it, going, this is great, you know, I like this. You know, and it's kind of a rap thing, you know, boy meets girl, and it's a good bet, the girl's going to play a little hard to get, got to get you some love, you know. And so it was going along, add a little blues harp to it, played along. At the end there, we hit that part about you know, and he goes, is there any way you can lighten that up a little bit? So I left it, I compromised, I left that, but I said, gotta get you some you know, and I come back and said, babies, you know, Rugrats, Curtain Climbers, Cracker Grabber. Made it kind of cutesy at the end, and I went from being this in the gutter jerk to this good father, you know, all of a sudden. It was like the needle, just all I had to say was babies, and the song went from gutter to everything was okay. And so it's, you know, that would be a compromise that I would adjust that I thought was cute and good. But as far as looking at a song and going, well, you know, if we don't tone this guitar down a little bit, it's going to sound too rock or too blue. No, we never even think when we're writing about melodies or anything affecting commercial, you know, till you're done.
Gotcha.
You know, there's no reason to worry about it till you've got, you know, a specimen to lay out there and look at.
Okay. How important is critical acclaim to you?
It was very important when I come out of the box, because I felt like I got shit on real bad. I mean, just duped. We came out and sold 1.2 million records out of the box, had 3 number ones in the top 5. Billboard had us listed as the new artist of the year for airplay power. We had more spins in Billboard magazine than any other new artist, and you're only allowed to get your new awards for the newcomer stuff for 2 years in our industry. Well, 6 award shows, there's 3 award shows a year. The Music City News, CMA, and the ACM. The one in L.A., the one and the other two in Nashville. One during Fanfare and one in the fall, the big one. And 6 award shows went by, and I was never not that I didn't win anything. Somebody else could deserve the award, but they take the top 5, and 6 awards went by, and 30 people got those nominations. I never got a nomination, nothing. So I felt like we got jilted a little bit there. I felt like that was a kick in the teeth. And but now that I've been around for 7 years, all that went away. Those awards are nice for the people that get them, but I'd rather have the record sales, and I'd rather have the fans. And we've done 15 shows this year, and we sold every show. Every show's been sold out. So we're always on a climb and a rise, and I'd rather have that is to be sitting in, but have 2 awards sitting at home right now, no record deal. There's a bunch of those guys that got those awards in '94 and '95 are sitting on their ass right now with, no record deal. So I'd rather have the longevity and keep making albums, and my stuff will happen.
Great. Seems like you got a good home on your new label there too.
Yeah, man.
How do you think the country music industry has changed since you recorded your first album? What, '93? I think it was. It's freaked out a little bit. I think everybody's torn on what to do next. We've done it all. We've had the biggest selling artists in the world, Garth and Shania, and I don't know what their next step is. I don't know how you top any of that. Everybody's saying, I keep hearing that the country's supposed to be down in the markets and everything, but you look on the charts and you get another record from Garth Brooks and throw it in there with Shania and the Chicks and that kind of thing, and you're eating up a huge percentage of the population of record buyers. I don't know what's going to be next. I know what I'm doing. I'm making my stuff the way I want to make it now. My music has always been compromised a little bit by somebody, and I don't have that middleman no more. It's just me and James Stroud making raw, the way I want to music. I mean, I've turned in so many times, stuff, and they've come back and said, that guitar has too much this on it, or that vocal has too much effect on it, or I don't like the way the background singer's there, change that or tone that down, or that's too outrageous. And then that ain't the way it is now. See, me and James were making these records and turning them in, and they were kicking them back saying, now it's just me and James, and when we're done, he just takes his producer hat off, puts on his label president hat, and says, now, y'all figure out a way to sell these. So it's a very pure me, and that's how come this single's doing so well. There is no compromise. It's different. It's unique. It's something that More artistic control.
It's artistic. Yeah, you're letting yourself go now. I mean, you got it the way you want it. So
that's terrific. That's the way it should be.
That's the way all music should be. It should be from here, not from some little sterile bubble environment where people's going, I got to have my little tequila, brunch here in 30 minutes, and we got to figure out what to do with that Toby Keith record. We're out here living it. We play every night. We know we can test them. We got a great place to. Your audience is a great barometer. You can say, here's a couple things off the new album. You play it 4 or 5 nights in a row. If nobody gets on it, you play another one, throw it in the spot, and when they start digging on it. I had a song called You Ain't Much Fun Since I Quit Drinking, and it was a ditty, just a funny ditty about a guy who had quit, and she was just wearing him out. He's having to do everything he never had to do when he was drinking. She didn't expect him to be it was just a goof. And we started playing the show, and people started singing it and going nuts. So we released it, the thing, took off and sold more records than any song on the entire album. And Nashville can't give you that. The music industry can't sit in their bubble and tell you that song's a hit or it's not a hit. They told me it was not a hit. It was a big hit.
Prove them wrong. Yeah. Before you began your recording career, you had quite a few diverse jobs. I mean, you were working in an oil field, you were bucking broncos, you were playing semi-football for the Oklahoma City Drillers. How did this all lead up to you becoming a musician?
I had a guitar when I was 8 years old, and that was always somewhere in there. Music was always woven in. I never believed that it was possible to. I always dreamed of having this success and being able to do what I do, but I never thought you could get. You know, we fool people into thinking, all they had to really do was just keep the money, and we'd have done this stuff for free. I mean, we get paid a lot of money to do this now, and we'd have done it for free. We would have, and that goes for everything in the music. Your first 2 or 3 years you gig, it's free. You'll just look for somebody to play in front of. I've played rooms smaller than this we're sitting in right now for less people. So you shit. I had a point here. Where was I going with it? What was our question? I got off.
How your various careers led you to becoming a musician.
I had a guitar when I was 8, and I evolved into this. Sit around playing the guitar for people, and I had a friend that was writing, and people were freaked out that he could write his own songs, and I thought, man, I could never paint that picture. I could never have that record deal. I could never write that song, until I started hearing him and getting this attention from writing his own songs. And I was going, they're not really that good, but these people are intrigued by the fact that he has a completed project there that they feel like he's emotionally delivering here. And so I thought, I think I can do that, but I think I can do it better than that. And so I started really working at it. And it was about 10 years. I was a teenager. And it was about 10 years before I really wrote something that was worthy to play in front of somebody. I mean, I played them all in front of people, but they sucked real bad. So I finally hit on one that was pretty good, and then I wrote 50 more bad ones. Hit another one that was pretty good, 25 more bad ones. And you just started closing that gap until, I became a songwriter. And I was playing semi-pro ball 2 years, trying to get in the USFL in the mid-'80s, just fresh out of high school. And that's pretty loud, isn't it? Here we go in a minute. We're editing, right?
Yeah.
Just fresh out of high school playing ball. I always had I would work part-time, for my dad in the oil field. Through that 3-year period, I played ball. All of that was real busy, and I had a guitar with me all the time too. So I would come back and play weekends. If I didn't have a football game, I'd come back and play weekends with my band in the club. I had a little band there from my hometown. We'd go play a little dive somewhere, and everybody sang in the band, and we really didn't have a lead singer at that time. So if I wasn't there, some other guys would pick it up. Everybody had about 50 songs they did, so you just pitched it around. So it was no big deal. And about 1985, the oil field went kaput, and I'm standing there, 21, 22 years old, something going, what am I going to do with my life? And the band said, hey, let's take it on the road. And a couple guys didn't want to go. We filled those spots and took it on the road, and it was ugly. And got out there and just beer jointed it until we started getting a circuit. And I kept writing songs and thinking someday, and it happened. So, thank God.
Yeah, exactly. It paid off definitely in the long run. I know back in December you were getting ready to participate in a movie, a 2-hour Dukes of Hazzard for CBS. Mm-hmm. How'd that go?
It went good.
Yeah.
They brought the entire cast back. When I first, I used to watch that show once in a while when it was on, and I seen the ratings on it. They were top 5 rated primetime for 5 or 6 years there in the 80s. And so when they asked me to do this, I said, well, who all's coming back? And they said, both boys, Daisy Duke, Bo and Luke Duke, Snyder, Wopat. And,
the whole gang.
The whole gang. And Boss Hoggs passed away, but Roscoe and all those characters are there. And they said, we're going to do a 2-hour movie where the Dukes go to Hollywood, and we want you to play a part in it. And so I looked at it, and I said, well, if everybody's participating, I will. they said if their ratings are just average, there'll be 22 million people watching that night. And I got 4 songs on the show, so it was great for me to get to do, you know.
Good exposure.
Yeah.